Okay, here's the video walkthrough.
So just catch you back up from when we left off. We're on the interior now. Going into this first bedroom. No major concerns, everything is fine. We do have just a little bit in what you're gonna find here over the next year. Got a little bit of tiny crack right here. This is called the settling crack. So this is gonna be one of those items that will develop over the next year. Contractors should come through and seal those. It's common occurrence.
Sorry, I had to wipe my lens.
And we put a little bit of tape on that for them there. Help you guys out with that. And then we're gonna see it pretty common, and we'll see it through the stairwell. So when you are going through your builder walkthrough, address these. I'll put a little note in the report over just some of the settling cracks. Very common in the stairwell because a lot of the load transfer comes down through that center structure of the home. Let's step on into here into the bathroom. We'll point out in the bathrooms underneath some of these sinks, and so there'll be a general statement that they didn't caulk all the way around these sinks. So if you're in there doing water can get down in your cabinet. So we'll have them get in there and seal that up. We'll go into the showers, and this seems to be pretty standard for this particular home. Whoever was doing the grouting, they come up short in a couple areas, so they're going to need to do all the showers and just a couple little areas. So just a little attention to detail. So we have a little gap right here on this one, and we'll talk about that again when we go upstairs. Other than that, the water, the toilet, everything else seems to be properly plumbed, operating like it's designed, as well as the shower. So it's kind of what we're after. We already talked about the garage, so we'll go on upstairs. So we're coming into the kitchen. This is super common because of the weight. You know, they got these nice quartz countertops on here, but the weight of them, they've settled a little bit, and we got some cracking, and you can see where this is all cracked. Because of the movement here, they probably should have used a caulking versus a grout, but nonetheless, we'll bring it back up. They need to reseal, either caulk it or grout it. A latex grout is a good product for this because it allows it to move a little bit. Coming in here, we did talk about how the exhaust vent may not be sealed in through the wall because it's blowing insulation back in. So we will address that in the report as well. If you see, and then a couple other pieces, all that blew out of the vent while testing it. So we'll make sure that we bring that up with the builder to get that done. And as well, we talked about construction debris, meaning little tile pieces and whatnot down in the garbage disposal with no operable switch, so I had to manually plug that in. Those fractures continue along the backside of the countertop, meaning just that grout joint. So they just need to seal that. Don't be surprised over the next year, after the things have moved and settled a little bit more, you get another seam, something you can take care of at your warranty walkthrough. So, and same with
that's 1 year or 11 months after you close on the house.
And we'll talk, and you'll see some more additional developments right around here with some more of those settling cracks. So here again, the stairwell. There's one over here in this little corner, another one over on that other side. So talk about that this first time around with your builder and see what they can do to seal those up, and they'll do a little touch up, but also monitor those areas over the next year. Everything in here seems to be properly wired as we would like. But we will talk about out here on the deck. So over on this side here, we have those 3 bolts.
Oh yeah.
So we'll have these 3 bolts here on the outside. And right where they're up against the wall and they're doing penetrations through the siding, they need to seal around those. So a little bit of caulking, seal those up to make sure that we don't get those little areas where water can possibly get in and cause water damage over the life of the home. Going here into this bathroom, everything's working like it's supposed to. Here again, just need to caulk around the underside of the sink. So that's right where the counter and the sink meet. So pretty simple, pretty common. miss that I see when the builder is not the carpenter. We'll come in here to your laundry room. So laundry room, right here you can have your knockout for the drain for your pardon me, for your washing machine. What I usually recommend, this is not an efficiency, but I usually recommend if you could possibly have the builder get that knocked out for you. So this way when your installers come, nobody's wrestling with it. And not only that, if they you know, you don't want them to crack this up because then the onus is on you. We want them to take care of, get this prepped for you. So that would be, that's just a kind request. And that we have our 220 power, we have our 110 for your wash machine. That's GFCI protected. So if that does trip and you realize you don't have power here, don't pull the wash machine out. The reset is down there in the power panel like we discussed. Turn it all the way off, turn it back on. Come over here. Here's going to be your dryer vent. So the dryer vent here, where it goes through the penetration, I kind of pulled back. The painters had this sealed up so they didn't paint the duct. That was very kind. But what we'd like to see here, maybe they can seal this up, as we could seal this up around this duct. So this way it'll, in case we do have a fire, we're keeping that fire from transferring from floor to floor. So they can just caulk that up. They can use a conventional caulking on that. So nothing too crazy. We just want to seal that penetration. So we'll move on upstairs. Let me shut this door. Here again, we got a little bit more settling cracks. And then you can have some going up that direction there. So pretty redundant, but pretty standard. So we'll go to this first. This is going to be, for this purpose, this is going to be your west bedroom. So with the west bedroom here, really tight clearance. So it looks like this side of the frame was just a little, probably about a 1/4 inch low. That's just me looking at it. But right now it has a slightly, ever so slight rub. You can see where there's a little bit of the paint rubbing off here. I would recommend you have them at least take this down a little bit, because here in the next year, this is going to swell and settle, and this will rub. Like I said, this jamb is just a little low, a little higher up than this would align. So this is not latching because the striker is just a little bit low. Like I said, it's just this whole jamb on this side of the door should have been raised up about literally a 1/4 of an inch. So that was an install. So if they can adjust that so this properly latches, that would be great, as designed. Everything in this room looks fine. Everything's operating as designed. So is your wall heater. Let's turn that back down. So this one in here is just going to be your standard in-wall heat, electric forced air. So that's great. You have the same thing down on the first level. On the middle level, or the main floor, that's where you have your ductless unit as well, and the larger master bedroom in there. Let's walk in here into the hall bath here on the second level, and we'll talk about some of the same details. Here again, seal the underside of the sink. And then behind the toilet, you can see here where I put a little bit of the blue tape just to assist these guys. But that piece of trim behind the toilet is not painted. So that back there, and it's really simple because I see the nail holes. Obviously they haven't painted it. But down here, as where the tile and the tub meet, because this is an acrylic tub, it's going to have a little bit more movement. Looks like they probably just grouted it because of the movement here. It's gonna fracture. So they need to caulk that. So they need to caulk the seam here, and as well as along the base and the tile connection here, because it's gonna have a little movement. That caulking is gonna allow for that movement to happen without it cracking. So I recommend that they reseal that. In this particular shower surround, we have several little areas. They need to seal all along this back edge so water gets splashed up, doesn't get down into the substrate there. Up here, another little corner piece. Up around this piece of the window. Up here, it needs to be resealed. Stink bug. And they need to seal this back area back over here as well, down along this side. So they got their work cut out for them on this particular bathroom. Like I said, they need to do it on all 3 of the shower installations. I'm going here to the master bedroom. Everything's operating like it's supposed to inside this typical unit. Come on in here. and then we'll step on into the master bath. So going into the master bath, we'll repeat, same thing back here. Don't be surprised if in the next year, because this is really tight, that if this does have a little bit more separation here, then it would require some additional sealing. So in the next year, keep an eye on this backsplash here in the master bathroom. Make sure that this stays tight, and if not, you're during your 11-month walkthrough or your warranty walkthrough, have them reseal that. That is very, very standard, very typical, so nothing alarming there. In this one particularly, down here in this bottom corner, we have a fracture in the grout there. We don't want water getting down on the wall, down on the substrate, especially since it is the floor. Always potentially a troubled area. And then we have another little spot back here that's missing. So you got a little bit of the grout came out here. Part of that is vinyl. Once again, I guess a more rigid product like the tile. When we have those two different dissimilar materials, the movement and the expansion and contraction can be different, and usually a rigid sealant doesn't do very good over time. So once again, I recommend something that's a little more dynamic, like a latex caulk or latex grout is usually a better product that'll allow for those movements, yet not required. Looks like right here as well. So let me tear off a piece of tape for you. Looks like right along there. That needs to be sealed as well. So you're gonna have a whole little series of the repetitiveness of all these little deficiencies under one statement. So you'll just see the pictures, and like I said, that'll just help whoever the builders, carpenter, or their technician, so to say, comes around and does this. So this way, we give them as much detail as they need, so this way they can find these deficiencies.
Okay.
So we'll move on upstairs. Going on upstairs into the upstairs deck, exterior deck. Feels nice and sturdy. So we'll talk about this door up here. So this door here, so it's hitting. This door hits right up here. You can see where we have a little bit of the paint's already wearing off. Looks like some of the green coming off of the door, rubbing onto the frame. So we need some adjustment here for the ease of use. And you can see right here where it's sticking. Okay, so they need to make those necessary adjustments for the ease of operation for you.